Okay, well, welcome everyone. It's Nicola Cairncross here, and I want to thank you for all the lovely comments on the video yesterday. It's really very welcome indeed. Today, I want to talk to you about the next entrepreneurial trap, which is the trap of ignorance. When I first started out in business, I was about 8 years old, and I didn't know then what I didn't know. As time went on, I started more and more businesses, and I still didn't know what I didn't know. But by the time I got to about 36, I knew that I was doing something wrong because none of my businesses were working. So I was sitting on a train going to work at a very average job in London, and I read about life coaching. This must have been about 1997 or 8. And I thought, oh, that's just what I need, except I want a career coach, not a life coach. So as my aspirations then were to go and work in the music industry, I found myself a life coach who had managed a very big star in the music industry. She'd run his record label, she'd run his publishing company, she'd run all the other DJs he worked with. And I really thought that was the girl for me. So I signed up for her coaching services and I was paying her £200 a month, I remember, and I totally couldn't afford it. But I did know by then that there was stuff I didn't know, and I thought that she might know it and share it with me. So she worked through a sort of specific program that she had in her mind. And while I absolutely trusted her, there were times where we talked about things like my fluffy sock list. And I thought, well, this is all very well and good, but I'd rather just get to the bit where you tell me how to make the money. I wanted down-to-earth, practical, actionable things to do, not fluffy stuff, not woolly stuff, not all the personal development stuff. It wasn't even called that then. I wanted her to tell me what to do. So in my own marketing, I try and keep it really, really practical because that's what people come for. What they don't realise is the things that are really holding them back are the things that they don't know. There's a matrix, isn't there? It's called unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, where you know that you don't know stuff, but you don't know what you don't know yet. And that's where I was. Conscious competence, where you have to work at it. And then there's unconscious competence, which is when you become a master. And you have to move through all those stages. Sometimes you can move through them faster than others, but you do have to move through them. And the first step is realizing that you don't know what you don't know. So what I find happens on mentoring calls is we start off talking about the practical stuff. And sometimes, indeed, my clients come to me and they don't know what they want to talk about on that particular call. Some days that's when the magic really happens, when I ask a question that really sets them off thinking down a different track. And those are the things that make working with a coach unbelievably valuable. So in a couple of days, I'm going to do a live stream with someone who used to be a client. They're not a client at the moment, but I stay very cordial with a lot of my clients. I'm going to be helping him work out what else he can do online. I'm also going to be talking to him about what he could do to improve his current business, because obviously the more funds you have coming in, the more able you are to buy help with a new business, which can really help make it take off much quicker. I'm going to be questioning him, and I'm going to be listening to the answers very carefully, and I'm going to be listening for the things that he might not have thought of yet. If you're watching this video and that date's gone, then I'll put a link in the description below and you can go and watch the outcome of that live coaching session. Let's see how it goes, shall we? Now, the other challenge is that your mentor or coach doesn't know what you don't know, so that's why they have to ask you so many questions. I'll never forget when I first bought my hotel, I had my bank manager and my accountant round to see me. And I remember talking to them about how businesses run cash flows, because although I was familiar with the whole sort of monthly cash flow forecast thing, which indeed I'd put one in the business plan to win the loan from the bank in the first place. But the problem was that it was never up to date enough. A lot of little bits of money coming and going in a hotel business. You've got your people who stay overnight, you've got your people who stay for a couple of nights, but there's also money going out all the time. I didn't know how normal businesses cope with that. So I asked my bank manager and I asked my accountant, and neither of them knew either, which was really interesting, wasn't it? Because they had much more long-term businesses. They had businesses that weren't so quick to change. I'd recently made friends with a couple of people who've become lifelong friends and mentors to me now. And they showed me the 1 week cash flow forecast, which was much better. And actually, I highly recommend it for all my clients now, even if they're only using it on their personal finances, because it really gives you a much greater control over your cash flow. So that was one example of I didn't know what I didn't know. They didn't know what I didn't know. And they didn't know the answer to what I wanted to know, but somebody else did. So if you've got a problem in your business, just keep asking questions till you find the answer, because there's over these thousands of years of people running businesses, somebody somewhere must have had the answer. And it's just a question of you finding it. Now, the other thing that happens is people turn up to the mentoring Q&A sessions I host regularly, and they just come to listen, because sometimes listening to other people being mentored gives you the answer to the thing you're searching for. And sometimes you didn't even know you were searching for it. My mentor used to host 3-4 hour calls at a time. He was extremely popular and he had a large client base. And you'd call in and you'd go into a queue if you wanted to ask a specific question. But I used to listen to the recordings afterwards most of the time. And often I found not only did I get the answers to the questions I didn't even know I had by listening to someone else ask him a direct question, but I also then got to know the kind of answers he would give. He was always trying to empower people to think for themselves and think better. So sometimes I'd be mulling over a challenge in my head and I'd actually hear his voice. And it wasn't really his voice, of course. It was my subconscious giving me the answer, but putting it into his voice, so I'd listen to it. So what do I do when people turn up and they don't know which questions to ask? I usually start by going through their KPIs, and I'm going to go into the KPIs a little bit later. But that's the usual place to start. I'll say to someone, okay, so do you have this, 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 and this, which are the essential components to a perfect online business plan? And you can find out what those are, by the way, by doing a search on this channel for the perfect online business plan. There's a video about it. Then if they haven't all those things in place, I'll start to ask them about, okay, so how many eyeballs are looking at your offer? i.e., how many people make it from the people who come to your website to your sales page where you're making an offer and where somebody could take action. And if there's nobody coming to your website, then you can bet nobody's going to be coming to your offer page. And that means nobody's going to be able to buy your thing or sign up for your service. And that means you're not going to get any customers or clients. So we work back generally to the point where we can see that the whole system is breaking down, where the weak link in the chain is. So you don't have to know what the problem is to come and talk to a mentor who can then help you identify where your business is falling down and where you need to pay attention this week. There are several things that can be going on in your business. It might well be that you don't know what to do next. It might well be that you don't want to do what you know you need to do next. That happens to me quite often. Your mentor might know an easier way, a better way, a faster way, a cheaper way. We might use a better software tool you can use. And often I'll be recommending a book, a course, a YouTube channel, or just for my clients to go and watch how someone else does it. Only today I got in touch with a client with an idea for their business. I'd seen someone in another niche doing something really well that I thought would work in their business too. I dropped them a line on Signal and we got on a Zoom call and we talked through it. And so that's one of the things I do as a mentor. I keep all my clients in my mind and share whatever resources I come across for them. The thing is, though, you have to show up and ask. You have to reach out. We don't know that you're pondering a problem that we might be able to help with. So always ask a question in the comments below, come to the website, drop me an email, any of those things. If I can help you straight away, I'll just fire back the answer. I hope that helps, and I'll see you again tomorrow.